Hello and welcome to another wonderful episode of Iron Port. This program is proudly brought to you by Serene Insurance, Gold Company Limited, the Ghana Revenue Authority, Ghana Link, who are the operators of the Integrated Customs Management System, and Meridian Port Services. This show is also powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Our proud media partner is the Business and Financial Times. This week we are discussing the importance of the freight forwarder in the global shipping space, and we had in the studios two former presidents of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders in the persons of Mr. Joseph Agbaga as well as Mr. Kwabena Ofosu Apia. Let's take a listen.
Let me find out from you what you think the relevance or importance of the freight forwarder is in the global supply chain.
The global supply chain has taken time to shape itself, and we cannot take ourselves out of it. Okay, now we here have led this business mostly by interfacing with customs.
Right.
But something interesting is happening. When you mention supply chain and logistics, you realize that we were supposed to have evolved into third-party logistics providers. But unfortunately, a lot of us just stayed at the freight forwarder, even the customs brokerage point, okay? And I keep telling our folks that, look, probably legislation can come and legislation may come to prescribe our intervention, okay? If you look at the WTO agreement, you see that there is a copious attempt to check or to encourage the freedom of the trader to do self-declaration.
Right.
Okay. If you look at even the recently read budget, you can see that there is an introduction of a provision to encourage that. I mean, vigorously encourage that. Okay, so you realize that any time these aspects, and it's a WTO demand. Let's not think that it just dropped from nowhere. Any time that the attempt is made to strengthen the hands of the trader to do his own, to get his own interface with customs.
Yeah.
As a practitioner, when I scan my immediate surrounding, if I have to consider my threat situations, I will put it in there.
Right.
Okay. And that's the only thing, that's one of the major things we must do if we want to survive. We should be able to scan our environment and place where the threats are. Of course, we might have certain opportunities in there too. We need to do that. We shouldn't be afraid to do this.
Right.
That does not make us pessimists. It just makes you a realist. The marketing folks are now telling us that, look, you need to wow the customer. Meaning that you have to up the game. See, once you know what to do to wow the customer or the trader, what it means is that legislation or no legislation, once you're able to plug yourself even into his logistics arrangement, if you are able to plug yourself into his supply chain architecture, he can sit back and say, why do I have to create this department in my unit,
right,
or in my establishment? Okay, what are we doing to up our game along the ICT route? You see, as we speak today, there are tools awash. Enterprise resource planners, vendor managed inventory systems, and a host of them. These things are very expensive, but as a people, as a group, as an association, is it possible for us to develop an ecosystem that helps our traders to tap into the capacity that we have developed? Okay? Because the trader goes elsewhere to source.
Right.
Okay? His inventory will have to be managed in a way. Do we have systems in place that can help the trader manage his inventory?
Right.
Yes. Is the trader able to afford it? The answer is no. Can we use our numbers to build capacity? capacity, as in knowledge, and as in the ICT architecture.
Yeah,
Yes.
Mr. Agwaga, you have evolved over the years in carrying out your business as freight forwarders. Can you tell us how this journey has been?
We started by entries that have color coding.
Mm-hmm.
Then from there, we moved to Asikuda. From Asikuda is partially electronic and partially manual.
Before we move to the destination inspection?
Before we move to the
Even pre-shipment.
GCNet, the pre-shipment
Yeah.
era
Yes.
also was part of the Asikuda
yeah.
time until we moved to the GCNet era.
Yeah.
Up until 2020, when we moved, 2015, there was a split that we have to deal with two different entities,
West
both
Blue?
the West Blue and then
GCNet.
the GCNet. We were in there until 2020, that both teams have to give way
Yes.
to the current
ICOMS,
integrated customs management
yeah.
system. So that is how the clearance industry has evolved. And the new thing that this system we have added, it is not that it was not there before, but regulators to give way, because the law has been there,
Right.
that you should be able to do what? A pre-entry and pay your duties before even the arrival of the ship.
Right.
It is, you can find this also in the Kyoto Convention that we are encouraged to do all these things. And we have this thing also in our act. That is the 891, both the 330, PNDC law 330, and that gave way to Act 891. But we are not practicing it until this era that it was taken aboard.
Right.
So we have moved a notch higher. This space is, we can always see something that is not right, and we can continue to perfect it.
I just want to find out from you, beyond this basic, what do we call it, duty that you have as freight forwarders, what are some of the, things that you do?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. No, you see, the freight forwarder is the liaison, okay, between the trader and the shipping lines, the trader and the airlines, the trader and the truck owners, the trader and government agencies, customs being chief in there.
Right.
Because you interface with Food and Drugs Authority, Environmental Protection Authority. You see, the freight forwarder negotiates prices. See, because he doesn't deal with either one trader or one agency, he has honed a certain expertise, okay, by cutting across. And that relationship that, see, if you're a trader, it could just be that in the whole year, you import twice. Okay, so it is not even rational for you to expend resources, time, and money to cultivate a shipping line. But the freight forwarder continuously interacts with all of them. Today you go to Maersk line, tomorrow you go to another line, today you go to Air Ghana, tomorrow today you go to Alhaji Musa for his trucks, the next day you go to Alhaji Sofiano for his truck. So whilst doing this, you have created a certain relationship, you have created a certain network. That is what the trader has not got. Okay, and this is what makes the forwarder that unique entity who brokers, even insurance. Because insurance is like a market. Sometimes the kind of leads you take to the insurance company makes them treat you differently. They could give you a premium based on the kinds of business that you give them.
Right.
And because you are not the one doing the import really, you could also decide a very important trader of yours to offload this goodwill to. Okay, so the freight forwarder in a nutshell has established network. The network that will make the life of the trader easy. That's why you find that you can find a quintessential freight forwarder who is a customs broker, an insurance broker in quote. He goes out to look for the best modes of even transport.
Right.
Can even advise you that this stuff that you are bringing in, okay, let's bring it to Tema by this mode, or even let's
Airlift it.
let's airlift it, or let's bring part through sea, and let's bring part through Tema, air. You know, so he has the bird's eye view. Let me put it so. He has a bird's eye view of the activities that gives you the platform for you to do your importation.
Right.
Now, to the question that you posted.
Yeah, whether
to
you're
me.
able to go out of your way to deal with my partners
in
abroad.
In the first instance, the forwarder did not pack the goods. He wasn't there when the goods were purchased. You can only be informed by way of giving by copying you the documents.
Right.
And if truly you have been copied from the onset, you should be able to identify any documentary error that can be corrected before even the vessel sails.
Right.
And that is the reason why the relevance or the role of the freight forwarder is mostly and much more important.
Right.
So that by the time the goods gets to destination, it can move in trouble-free.
Right.
And you will not be able to also assist your customer if you don't have the in-depth knowledge.
Right.
And that is why always, as a forwarder or as a custom broker, you must be a storehouse of knowledge.
Yes. You must be widely read.
Yes, you must be a storehouse of knowledge so that you will be able to understand the nuances of trade.
Right.
One of them is how to interpret the sales contract, the Incoterms and all those things.
Yeah.
They have specific, the specific things that the exporter, where the exporter starts and where he ends, and where the importer also take over the liabilities. So these are all things that you need to learn.
Right.
And the older you are in the industry and you learn, the better you become.
Absolutely. I asked the question about whether you have outlived your relevance as freight forwarders, and you gave me an outright response that no. Yes.
You see, Ken, you know, in all of my presentation, you can see a theme running through, endearing ourselves to the trader, rediscovering ourselves, going into the survival mode, wowing the trader, and insisting that no matter what the legislations or statutory developments are, once we show relevance to the trader, we are in business. Right. You see, unfortunately, we have had the statutory situation aid to a very large extent our development. Today, a law comes, a freight forwarder or a customs broker must be, because freight forwarders are not licensed to work. It's a certain capacity that you build and then you are in business.
Yes.
It is the customs broker who is licensed by the state authority.
Yes.
Okay. Now, so statutorily, the law comes, you shall do this, thou shalt do this, thou shalt do that, and then you do it.
Yeah.
And increasingly, that is what has defined who has become known as the freight forwarder or the customs broker.
Yeah.
Now, it is about time we ourselves take the bulls by the horn and redefine how we want to be seen in the space. Okay? And we have our job cut out for us. Who are we defining or redefining ourselves to please? The trader.
Yeah.
Okay? So, if you look at the third-party logistics provision, we have not so much tapped or built capacity to the levels of the global standard.
Right.
Then comes in the fourth-party logistics service provision, where...
Tell us about the third party and the fourth party. What's the difference?
Okay, so what we do now mostly mimics the third party, where you stand in, even though you don't have the assets.
Right.
You stand in, you know where to get the assets, you know how to, you have built a network, you know how to present negotiated situations to your client.
Right.
So you give your client, the trader, the respite for going to look for shipping lines, airlines, trucks, here and there, customs brokerage. You have taken that bit of it. That much describes the third-party logistics provision. Now, the whole world is even chasing the fourth and the fifth-party logistics arrangement, okay? That is why even if you listen to our conversations, a lot of the time when you see us sit around, we talk about multinationals taking our business from us. The multinational is layering on the fourth party, okay? He's increasingly endearing himself to the trader.
Yeah.
And the fourth party brings in a copious amount of ICT and the tools therein. We need to properly digitalize, okay, and get our systems in place so that we can push a certain conversation. When the cargo lands, there must be performance indicators. At what point do you say that the cargo is ready for the trader to pick it? When that is known, the system records it. Everybody is aware of that. If we had a system, and the shipping lines also had a system, once that clock time is ticked, it means that whatever processes that you have done to say cargo is ready, it will be in a certain pool for our system to assess. It will not be dependent on somebody being in his good mood to check his email or not to check his email. Okay? We would have had, how do you call it, a certain connectivity. The ICT folks will tell you that an API will be created where our system will just speak to their system,
right,
and pull whatever information that they have ready, because it has to be ready by a certain time stipulation per our laws. If we do not have these situations in place, the shipping line is not going to create that system and give you the back end to use it.
Right.
At most, they will tell you, send email. Okay, so if we want to talk about our relevance and our evolution, I think, like I said earlier on, our work is cut out for us.
Right.
We have only one person to please, and we must put our money where we want our mouth to be going into the future.
Right. Okay, so I want to find out from you. There are those who are thinking that importers should be made self-declarants. That obviously will be a threat to you as freight forwarders, isn't it?
Yes and no, but I dare to challenge just any importer who can brave the storm, no matter how even the books are digitalized. You need that knowledge,
right,
to choose a particular HS assigned
your consignment.
to your consignment. I made a earlier statement that all exports are going to be assigned with an HS.
Right.
But is coming from elsewhere. Is my country going to rely 100% hook, liner, and sinker on what has been documented? Else, what is the issue of risk management, and the compliance, and all the things that Kwabena spoke about? So, some people will be able to do. But the question is, if you are a trader and you want to do that aspect, including what you know doing best. Remember, Kwabena told you that the role of the freight forwarder is such that he is the pivot, he stands in the middle and connects or network with other agencies. He has done it over the period of time, and therefore he has established somewhat relationship.
Right.
So it will be much more cost effective if that trader gives his document to the person who knows how to do it best.
So as you may have heard, the freight forwarders play a critical role in the global shipping space, and we urge them to do more for their importers. Iron Port returns after this break.
Every now and again, Goil makes good things happen. This time, Goil has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goil Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goil Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goil Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goil Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goil has that sorted. Goil, good energy.
Electricity, pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Currently, my goods are on the IC covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance. Oh, Ajima, tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Welcome back from the break. Now some international ports and maritime news next. The latest maritime transport report from UNCTAD has warned that greenhouse gas emissions from the world's maritime fleet increased by 4.7% between the year 2020 and 2021, with most of the increase coming from container ships, dry bulk carriers, and general cargo vessels. Another worrying trend is the fact that the fleet's average age is also rising and older ships pollute more. By the number of ships, the current average age is 21.9 years and the carrying capacity 11.5 years, UNCTAD said. The United Nations Conference on Trade and Development said that only about 6% of the post-COVID stimulus funding was allocated to cutting greenhouse gas emissions. Now, with the war in Ukraine and its impact, decarbonization might be pushed further down the priority list. AP Moller Maersk and IBM have announced their decision to abandon their blockchain-based global trade platform known as TradeLens after it failed to generate enough users. Maersk launched TradeLens in collaboration with IBM in 2018 to promote efficient and secure global trade by helping to manage and track the millions of shipping containers trading globally by digitizing manual and paper-based systems across the supply chain. By nature, the platform's success is heavily dependent on widespread industry participation. Although the platform has steadily added companies, port authorities, and other entities to its user base, the platform has apparently failed to reach the critical mass needed to make it viable. It's now time for the word of the day. A person or firm licensed by the customs authority of their country, when required, engaged in entering and clearing goods through customs for a client. So schedules of vessels in the port, those at anchorage and those expected in the coming week, plus the Bank of Ghana exchange rate, you need to know to clear your goods from the port next. We have your comments coming up next.
Ohima in Tema says, special good evening to the seniors in the studio. After's position is that it is not mandatory to use customs brokers, and this is not different from WTO's trade facilitation agreement's position. Hello, my name is Captain William Mamenshia, a former executive secretary of GIVE. I disagree with people saying freight forwarders are not important to the AFTA. I believe we need freight stations all around the country, as freight forwarders are very relevant to the growth of international trade. Hello, I am Cecil from Wager. I want to acknowledge the works of the freight forwarders in the country. I agree that they make the works of importers and exporters easier and faster.
So that's all for this week's episode of Iron Port. Thank you for watching and thanks to the entire crew. Join us same time next week.